Hi everybody, and thanks for being part of the Tony Tongan Show. Sorry, we had a bit of a stuff up there. We had a problem with Avery being able to get free from an appointment, and we also had a technical issue. The story of my life, quite frankly. You'd think after all these years I'd know how to use the internet and particularly do these shows. And there's a few people on board already, and I really do appreciate that. So thanks for being here and a part of our... someone said, James said, hello, Mr. Token. I appreciate that. There's a few people on board. I hope you can all see us and hear us accordingly. So today there's a lot we need to talk about. Anxious to get here to have this conversation with Avery, my buddy, my mate, just to talk about the issues around the world and here in Australia. And there's a couple of things that we need to talk about, I guess, to start with. And that's what's happening in the US and how that impacts us, Gaza in particular, and how the United States and Israel have both got together to devise a plan without any help from the Palestinians at all, because for whatever reason, the Palestinians don't seem to matter. So, and I had someone actually comment to me the other day, like, have you actually read the plan? Yes, I have. I've taken some time out just to look at it, to peruse it, to see whether or not it fits with anything that I agree with or disagree with. And I have lots of issues with it, to be quite honest. And hopefully Avery and I can talk about that. Avery's done some research around that as well, which will be very, very helpful. The other issue that I want to talk about today also is the rise of the right wing in Australia, and that is particularly because I'm interested in the increase in the One Nations vote in Australia. I believe it's doubled, and what does that mean to us, and what does that mean to Australian politics as a result of all of that? So at this particular point in time, though, I'm just going to welcome Avery on board. Hi, mate. How you going?
I'm pretty good. Not a tiring session for me. It was physiotherapy was the appointment I had. It's actually my wife's appointment. She had hip replacement surgery, and she's still going through the physio for that. And I've got to be there so that when she does the exercises,
you know what needs to be done.
Yeah, I know what needs to be done, etc. Make sure she's safe and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did post. So I'll go through the. We'll put up the comments that are being made. There's quite a few at this point. So we'll put up those comments as well. Some people are still responding to my Ralph Rabbit post I did the other day. And I do need to apologise, actually. I'd put the post up and I had a couple of hundred responses pretty much immediately. And then I got told that there was a monetisation error because I'd played a clip from Ralph Babbitt's introduction. And apparently that clip had some music in it that was contravened the YouTube copyright issues. So I had to take it down, delete that bit, and then put it back up. So that's what happened there. I apologise. One person contacted me by email and said, why can't I make any comments on the section? Well, the reason was I'd have taken it down. I do apologise for that. It doesn't happen all that often because I don't often play music in the background. But, okay, so... Avery, let's discuss this particular issue that's happening in regard to Gaza, because I'd be really interested to know whether you think this is going to be a success or a failure. What do you think, mate?
Everything Trump touches turns to shit. That might give you an idea of what my views on his chances of success with this. It's a typical Trump ploy. He's come up with this plan with Israel, didn't involve the Palestinians. He did exactly the same in Afghanistan, right? And look how well that shit show turned out. What was the other one? Ukraine didn't involve Ukraine in the discussions he's been having with
Zelensky.
Putin.
Oh, with Putin.
No, he didn't involve Zelensky. Didn't involve Ukraine in the peace talks he had with Putin, his boss. He didn't involve the Afghan government in peace talks he had with the Taliban, and he didn't involve the Palestinians in this. He's got you can't impose a solution on somebody. Yeah, I mean, you can go in there military and beat the shit out and kill them all or whatever. The sort of thing that he says he doesn't want to do, but he's still supporting Israel while they're busy going and doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, the most interesting thing that we need to look at is that that Palestinians were not involved. How can you negotiating something when the very people that you're going to affect are going to be involved? And the other issue is that it still seems to be very much around. I think it's very much around what the Arabs, and others are going to gain from virtually taking over this wasteland that is now Gaza, and whether or not the world will get in. Well, how will the world rest to get involved? I have an issue. I don't know how you feel about this. I have an issue with Tony Blair being one of those people that have been touted as being someone that should get involved in this, Avery, because he had a terrible history in terms of getting involved in Iraq and what that meant. So I am suspicious of the involvement. And this notion that Trump is going to be the person that to some degree should be in charge of all of this as well is another problem. I mean, what does this man have to offer in terms of being able to negotiate any form of peace? Because he's failed on every occasion so far, as you've outlined. What's the chances of him failing again?
Yeah, I think given his record in business of bankruptcies and failed businesses and his failure throughout the 4 years that he was destroying the United States, starting to destroy the United States between 2017 and 2021, and then his 9 months of disaster so far this year, I think his chances are slim to none of solving this. So reading through it, the very first thing that leapt out to me after I'd read the whole thing, there's little bits leapt out, but one of the major things that leapt out was he's done this for himself. He claims to be a real estate developer, and Gaza will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza. No, he'll do that for himself. Who's going to head this commission that's going to run the country? Donald J. Trump. What can he look what he's doing in the United States? He's grifting as much money as possible as he can. He's made himself $1.5 billion or so in the first 6 months of his. He made another $1.5 billion in the first 6 months of his presidency, and he'll do exactly the same with this in Gaza. He'll steal.
I agree, and I think that it's just going to turn into a yes, because eventually what's going to happen is the Palestinians and the Hamas in particular, I guess, are going to decline the offer. They're going to turn around and say, well, look, this doesn't meet our particular needs. And the issue was that they had to release the hostages first, that the Hamas had to release the 40 hostages, some alive, some dead, and then there were going to be, and then the Israelis were going to release some 1,600 prisoners that they had. That some of them had life sentences. Apparently, they were going to release those, and some of those that were in prison were women and children. So it is confusing as to, firstly, it seems to me that the whole program is designed so that Hamas will say no, it's unacceptable to us, and it's unacceptable to the PLA, and that eventually then my guess is that Netanyahu will go in and do whatever he planned to do in the first place, which is to take over, run over the place, get rid of all the Palestinians as best he can, to pervert what's happening on the West Bank as well. There's I don't know where you probably didn't see this, Avery, but there was a fantastic speech given to the National Press Club by a lawyer, a human rights lawyer, and another expert on international law. And it was fantastic because it was these experts outlining exactly what is likely to happen as a result of all of this, and certainly putting it all in perspective in terms of what is the law and what is appropriate and whether or not. And it was really interesting, though, I'm sorry about I'm rambling here, but it was interesting to hear what they had to say about recognition of a state, what that even meant by law. that it is possible and it is reasonable to recognise a state that may not necessarily have sovereign land that they belong to. And there is evidence that that has happened before, apparently. So things I think, and the Australian position in all of this, where do we stand? And what is it that we could be doing that is different? And is it relevant for us to have a view, to be able to say that we, along with all these other countries, want to see a two-state solution and to recognise Palestine as a state? Where does that stand? How powerful? What's your view on that, Avery? How powerful is all of that? And one of the things I just want to finish on this bit. One of the things that the guy said that I thought was really interesting was that we are not just a middle power. Of all the countries in the world, we sit about 14th in terms of our power and our influence in our economy. So we are not really a middle power. If we were a middle power, I guess we'd be sitting at something like 70th or something, which is in the middle of the 180th countries, whatever. So we're not. We are influential. Let's use our influence. And the other issue too that was important was our supporting the IDF by providing, even though there's small parts for their aeroplane, that we do that, and that there's also some technology that we buy from them as well, some robot technology or something of that nature. And should we be doing that? Should we have embargo on all of this stuff that we do have with the Israeli government? Any thoughts?
Well, firstly, the embargoing them. How much of an impact would an embargo by Australia have on the Israeli government?
Well, I guess it's a principle, isn't it? It's just
hang on. If we're talking about $1 million, or $10 million of business with them, why waste our effort going through all the processes to put the embargo in place? Because that's not going to have much of an impact. If it's 100 million, if it's $1 billion, then you go and do that sort of thing. That's exactly what sanctions are meant to be doing with Russia. Right? The sanction really is a form of an embargo. We're not going to do that trade. Right? You said so much.
I think one of the important things to remember, and this is what the point that I'd like to make now, is that it's what we perceive to be doing. It's like, if you're walking down the street and you see somebody, a male beating up a woman or beating up a child, should we get involved? Should we just ignore it? Because on the scheme of things, it's got nothing to do with us. We can justify not getting involved, and we should just walk away. On the world stage, I really do firmly believe that if we see a moral issue that we need to stand up for, that we do something appropriately and stand up for it and say, we want to see this as a Palestinian state, we want a two-state solution, and we won't sell you any stuff that you need to bombard these poor people in the first place. Yeah. Deal with it.
We've already said that we Albanese just it wasn't that long ago recognised Palestine. Absolutely the right thing to do. That should have been done decades ago. There was something else you said in there before you came to me. Mentioned when you just previous to mentioning the embargo. I thought I got a comment on that, and then.
Oh, it's just another dementia moment, Avery. We'll forgive you for that, mate. I have them from time to time. But I think the point is that we, if I do say something that reminds you of it, just jump in. I think the point is that as a small nation, in terms of size of economy, all that other stuff, population-wise in particular, we do claim that we push above our weight quite often.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if it was about that you wanted to talk about.
No, but that's a good point. We do push above. I mean, that's one of the first things you start off with. That was that we rank about number 14 in the world, so we're not a middle power. We are very influential. We should use that influence.
We should.
Using it on some moron like Trump, forget that. That's not going to happen. He doesn't care. He doesn't listen to his own advisors, except for Stephen Miller, fellow fascist.
Yeah, Goebel, the young version of Goebel.
Yeah,
I reckon.
Goebbels.
Revolting human being.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, it's got it.
I think the point is that it's about us taking a moral stance
Yeah.
around issues that concern us. Not necessarily, they may not concern us. Yeah, like what does it matter whether they buy their goods from us or from somebody else? I mean, what does it matter? The fact that they do is an issue that we need to stand up against and say this is inappropriate,
Yeah.
that we're not going to be a party to any of this, and that we're going to withdraw or instruct the organisations in Australia to stop doing it, or go overseas and do it, but don't do it to them. So we need to, and as you said rightfully before too, that one of the key issues that we need to focus on is the fact that, we could have done this a long time ago. We are, our responses often are so, well, I guess I was thinking of a fancy word to put it, but basically our responses are often too late. That we wait until the building's been knocked down, that there's tens of thousands of people have died, before we say, where's the proportionality in all of this, guys? What do we had to wait. There've been many indicators prior to this about the terrible things that Israel has done to Gaza generally, holding back water, holding back food, whatever. None of that stuff is necessarily new, Avery. They've been doing it for a long time. Anybody with any sense of reasonableness would have understood that this is likely to happen again. And Gaza was the distinct opportunity. That what has happened in Gaza should not be a surprise to any of us, but we should have taken some action long before we did.
Yeah. Because I don't know how to put this.
And just say whatever's on your mind, mate. This is the internet. Who gives a shit? And if you need to be challenged, I'll challenge you.
Okay. I've got the plan right in front of me on this screen, on my right-hand screen. Very first thing it says, and it goes back to, I suddenly went like this when you were talking, and it's because I remember what it was. And it's to do with what very first sentence in the thing there. Gaza will be a de-radicalised, terror-free zone that does not pose a threat to its neighbours. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Right? The only time you'll get peace in the Middle East between the Palestinians go back a step. You said that the Palestinian people and Hamas, if you were to, I believe that if you were to take the Palestinians, separate them, right? I was going to say take them out of where they are, and that sounds like I'm saying.
Well, that's exactly what.
Jesus, let me finish.
Okay, go
I'm
for
not
it.
saying I was going to say take them out, and then I thought that makes it sound like I'm saying take them to Madagascar or something like that, right? I'm not saying that.
Or exterminate them.
No, separate them in some way from Hamas, and then ask them, what do you think about a two-state solution? And I think the answer you'll get is, yeah, we want a two-state solution. While you've got Hamas there, you've got an organisation whose stated aim is the utter destruction of Israel. Right? They are not interested in peace. You will not get peace with Hamas there. You want to get peace in that area, you're going to have to wipe out Hamas. Unfortunately, the Israelis, the way they're doing it, they're wiping out the Palestinians who just want to get on with their lives.
Well, here's a thought. Why not wipe out Israel? Why not find a way? I don't know if you can wipe them out. I don't mean like a genocide.
Hang on. I do know somebody who said that one way of dealing with the nuclear weapon issue and the the Muslim terrorist issue was start dropping nukes in Morocco and don't stop till you get to the Philippines. I think that's a bit extreme. Wiping out the Israelis would be a bit extreme, right?
Yeah, but
wiping
I think.
But
they've been unpunished. They've been unpunished for their behaviour for years. Like we see them bomb Hezbollah and we see them go into countries around them. They're scared shit of places like Egypt and other countries and Lebanon that are Muslim countries.
What is the reason for that? Why do they go unpunished?
Well, because they're the only westernized country, democracy, so-called democracy in the Middle East.
I don't
Why?
think so.
What's the reason?
But Turkey is democratized.
Well,
Right?
one that's a very loose terminology for democracy in Turkey, but nevertheless,
It's not a very good democracy, but it is democratized. Right?
yeah.
They're not that far from India, which is a democracy. It's the world's largest democracy. The,
Well, I wouldn't say
the,
India.
the reason is that the world's most powerful country is Christian. Right?
Right, so
Where did Jesus allegedly come from? Where's he going to come back from? Right?
so how did this get into a Christian conversation?
It
How
got
did you
into
manage that?
it got into a Christian It's not really a Christian conversation. It's why do we support Israel, right? For all the with all the shit that they still do towards their neighbours.
But you're saying because they're the only Christian.
Fucking hell.
Go on.
The major supporter of Israel is the United States.
Yep.
The United States has got about 150 million people who think that Jesus was coming back 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. They've got a Speaker of the House who when he wants advice on something, he looks at the Bible, right? He believes that Jesus is coming back soon, right? The rapture starts in Israel. So we've got to protect Israel to make sure that it doesn't get destroyed so the rapture can happen. That's what I think is the major reason they support Israel. Israel, right or wrong, you know? And it's one of the things that really pisses me off to hear, to hear Mike Johnson, also holier than thou, and going on about how he loves Gaza and the Palestinians or whatever the shit that he says, that they say, Trump says, he wants to do it for them, and rant over.
Right, I didn't want to be yelled at again by you, so I thought I'd just let you go for as long as you needed to get rid of whatever it was that you were expressing. I
put that on the whole support of Israel on the Christian thing that Jesus is going to come back, and it's got to start there.
All right, I put up here these posts. Avery, it's about Western guilt over 2,000 years of persecuting Jews.
That's maybe where some of it started.
Right. But, just to help you out there from D. Worship and someone John's got up here. I don't know if this will come up.
I spend a lot of time talking to evangelical Christians.
I don't know if this will come up, but John says 100% evangelical zealots worshipping Trump. So I think that's kind of what you were saying as well. So naturally you've got some support there, Avery, and why not? You're a star. Okay, so
can I make a comment, and I won't go off on a rant this time.
You can go off on a rant if you like. It's all right.
Yeah. The second item in this list is that Gaza will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza who have suffered more than enough. That's absolutely right. They've suffered more than enough. In 2005, if I remember his name correctly, it was Ehud Barak was the Israeli Prime Minister, and he proposed a two-state solution, which the Palestinian authorities rejected. Israel pulled out of Gaza. They had built a flour export industry. Right, there was full employment there. The Palestinians destroyed it, led by Hamas when they took over. They didn't want anything that had come from the Jews. How are they going to? What they're going to offer the Palestinians that will benefit them, that they will accept? It's got to come from the Palestinian people. right?
Mm.
You know, so Trump saying, I've spoken with my buddy Yoni, is it Yoni? Netanyahu, Benjamin,
Ben, yeah, BB.
Bibi. I've spoken with my buddy Bibi, and we're going to do this for the Palestinians. And the Palestinians are, yeah, well, we don't care. Why didn't why haven't you asked us what we want?
Exactly. Well, that's
Yeah,
exactly the point. I thought you might be interested in a couple of the comments here, though, Avery, because they're about you, because you're a
yeah.
star. So I will endeavour to bring this up. So this is JB late in. Glad I caught Avery's rant of the week. Thought you would like that one. I enjoy so, and this is another one from James, who says, "I'm enjoying a beer on Avery Rant." So you're bringing some joy to people, Avery. I guess that's pretty
I'm glad
damn
that's
pretty
what I
damn
want to do.
important. So yeah, I guess I don't know where we go with the conversation from there. I guess are there any other points? I read through all of them a day or so ago when they came out. And I guess the bottom line for me, Avery, was number one, the Palestinians were not included.
Yeah.
Number two was, who's running this? Who's going to be running this show? Who's this committee going to be headed by, of all people, Donald Trump? Is this an effort so that Donald can get his Nobel Peace? If they ever give Donald Trump a Nobel Peace Prize, I'm going to try and find a way to bomb Norway. Like if they actually give in to this dude and give him a peace prize for doing nothing, I'll be very angry. Need I say it?
This thing here with him, that I think you hit exactly what he's doing it for. This black dude a few years ago got a Nobel Peace Prize. I should have one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, so there's that. Just checking how far. I'm just going through. So Elizabeth Cook here has said, "Go Elizabeth." She's said the Pope has been saying the Antichrist is here and it's the end of days, but maybe it is AI. So, yeah, fair comment, Elizabeth. Maybe with AI, one could argue that.
I don't know whether I should say the thought that just popped into my head.
Well, you can. Just try not to have me banned from YouTube. That's all I ask, Avery.
I was just going to say, if there's an Antichrist, I would qualify because I can't stand Christianity.
You're about as Antichrist as they come.
Yeah. I'm not anti. I am not anti what he is supposed to have taught.
Yeah.
Right, about love your neighbour and do unto others and heal the sick. I'm definitely not anti that. Yeah. But I'm anti Christianity.
PWR says you won't be the only one, Tony. I agree. It'd be a shocking result, and hopefully it won't. Apparently, I did hear that one of the persons on the Nobel Peace Prize committee said it would never happen. But he's not the only vote, or she, I think it was. Okay. So it is, because we need to move on. We've got a few topics to talk about today, Avery. So the next topic will be. Still about the United States. Well, it will be the United States this time. This is about the carry on with the 800 military officers that were called out of their posts. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Just finally, is there anything? We'll go through the comments later, and I'll pick out some that are a little bit interesting. But anything else in relation to Gaza that you'd like to say?
Yeah. On that. On the 20 points. Point number 20 is the United States will establish a dialogue between Israel and the Palestinians to agree on a political horizon for peaceful and prosperous coexistence. Why didn't they do that now? Why don't they go to the Palestinians right now and say, you guys should be talking, and say to the Israelis, until you stop what you're doing, right? Until you start talking to them, well, you can fight them with bows and arrows if you like, because we're going to stop supplying you with all the weapons that you use.
Well, one could ask, why didn't they on October the 8th, 2023, go to them and say, look, we appreciate you're angry. I can understand why you're angry. You've encased us in this prison.
Why haven't they already done it?
Yeah, and the other issue for me around this that I think is really vital and important is, do people ever consider, and this point was raised in this, I think it was raised in the National Press Club the other day too. If you incarcerate people or lock them in a certain place for decades, and then you just decide to eliminate and eradicate all their buildings and their schools and their hospitals and their infrastructure, and you take away their food and their electricity and their way of just living, surviving, you take that all away from them. Are you going to tell me that there won't be the residual response from all of that will be, and is likely to be, some people really pissed off to the point whereby even if you get rid of Hamas as an organisation, I find it hard to believe that another organisation won't rise out of those ashes and become just as hostile as Hamas has been.
Well,
so go on.
I was going to say Hamas rose out of the ashes of other terrorist groups that rose and fell.
Yeah.
You'll never get rid of it the way they're trying. You cannot impose democracy on people. Look what happened in Iraq. The Yanks went in, we'll just make them turn them into a democracy and they'll be happy. No, you cannot impose it. You can't impose peace on people who don't want it. You can't impose a complete change of lifestyle on people who don't want it.
I think people want to be self-determined, though, Avery. They don't.
Yeah, they do.
They want to decide. Our version. If we look at, God, let's have a discussion about friggin' democracy. But if you look at democracy in terms of the way the United States is expressing it right now, you've got to wonder whether that's an appropriate form of. It's not my form of democracy. If you want to have a look at the sort of democracy that Nigel Farage wants to impose upon the United Kingdom,
UK, yeah.
That's not mine. If you want to look at the sort of things that Babbitt and Antic and Pauline Hanson want to impose here in Australia, that's not my version either. But we need to at some point we just need to to offer these people. Actually, offering, that's not the right word. We need to be able to give people, no matter who they are, no matter what their religious background, no matter what their ethnicity is, we need to be able to say to them, do your own thing, providing you're not harming somebody else, you're not blowing up another country or whatever, or you're not breeding terrorists and sending them to the West to destroy the West or whatever. Do your own thing. Develop your own economies, grow your own food, have your own irrigation, have your own schools and education system. Do it. The problem is when it starts to interfere with us. It's like, Avery, and I'll just carry this a bit further. It's like when someone says, that being gay or LGBTQI plus or whatever is wrong. And then we must impose our values on us, on you. Or being a non-Christian or an atheist is in not accordance with our Christian beliefs, and that at the end of the day you should be destroyed, or you should be disallowed, or whatever, or disenfranchised in some way. If at some point we need to say to people, because we need to be the best that we can be of ourselves, and somehow we need to be able to say to communities, including those in which we're living now, do your own thing. Don't impose it upon us. Don't try and make me become like you, because I won't make you become like me. So just do your own thing. We need to be able to adopt that right across the board, and I think say that to countries, and we should not get involved in them in the first place. Let's sort out your own shit.
With what you were just saying there, you have nailed it. Why I am anti-Christianity. I don't care if somebody believes in in God or Jesus or Allah or
Donald Trump.
Krishna. Donald Trump, I would. Yeah, I don't care if people believe in Jesus and stuff like that. I don't want them telling me that I must live my life according to what they believe. And the thing about Christianity, not all Christians do this. Most of them just get on with their life, but they do let you know that they're. If you want to know if they're a Christian, look around, look here. You'll very often see it. You'll see them with the little earrings with the crucifix there. They've got to tell you. Not all of them, but um, the won't live. They won't live and let live. Live your life. Do what Jesus said. Pray in quiet, in silence. Don't go in. Don't go into the church and be a hypocrite, which is it's in Matthew, Book of Matthew.
Or go up into the mountains and pray,
Yeah,
which is what he
stay
did.
home in quiet and pray.
Yep.
You do not do it in public, right?
Yep.
But the the number of times that I've had Christians knock on my door, stop me in the street, I'm just so everything has got to be about me living my life according to their lifestyle, their beliefs. That person is an abomination because he's gay, right?
Yep.
And what harm has that gay person ever going to do to that Christian?
But I guess
People
that's
who do the harm are the Christians.
but that's my whole point, Avery, about taking that view from an international perspective, though, as well. That people can, live there. Don't come and bomb us. Don't come and send terrorists to our country because we have a different belief or faith than yours. Assuming that everybody has the same belief or faith, that's crazy. But just do your own thing for your own people in your own way.
Yeah.
We're as a species.
I've got a question for you.
Go for
We
it.
say let that country do their own thing for their own people in their own way. What if they decide that we've got this group of people there's a group of people in that country and the government of that country, which you said do what you want, decide that they're going to murder them. They're going to commit like Saddam Hussein was doing with the Kurds.
Yeah, and there's lots of examples of that. There's lots of examples of that in Africa too.
I just use that as an example. The Houthis and the Tutsis in Rwanda. Are you going to say, well, that's their way of life? We're just going to leave it?
It raises a great ethical.
We should be stepping up and doing something about it. When you've got
should we be? Well, what is it that we should do? There's plenty of things we can do apart from invading countries. We can choose not to trade with them. We can choose not to provide arms to them.
Yeah.
There's lots of things we can do, but we don't have to invade them. And
did I say invade?
No, I'm just saying we don't have to do.
I said if you've got a situation like that with this, just let them live and let live. Let them. It's their country. Let them do what they want. And we see something like that happening. The Tutsis slaughtering the Houthis just because they're Houthis. Are we going to sit back and do nothing?
Well, I don't think we can. I didn't say. Look, it creates a moral dilemma, I know.
Yeah.
But I do object to us getting involved in other people's wars. I think there are things we can do to help those people. And I think we have places like the World Health Organization, and we have the United Nations that have a lot of programs that do assist in those areas. It's not like we become blind to them. I mean, I'm doing a piece tomorrow probably on what's happening in Africa and Nigeria at the moment in relation to the slaughter of Christians. Well, that's the allegation anyway. So I've been doing a fair bit of research on that today. So I'm going to do a piece on that as well. I'm not suggesting we ignore it. We make out these horrible things are not happening. And I'm not suggesting that we don't find ways to support those organisations or those people that are being oppressed. I'm not suggesting that at all.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting you were saying just completely ignore them. I was asking what will you do?
No, I'm not.
Ignore it,
I'm not suggesting we ignore them. I'm suggesting that we find ways to be able to enhance their experiences, regardless of their ethnicity or religious background or whatever.
The Americans for a long time seemed to think that they were the world's policemen. There's a
Well, you know,
fight over there.
some of the best programs put together was the Poor Bank. I don't know what they called it now, but it was in Indonesia, I think, and that was where they provided funds, a small amount of funds, sometimes just $100, for people to develop a cottage industry.
Yeah.
And that this is soft power at its best.
Yeah.
And it worked because those people made their $100. They also got other people, families and friends to join in the enterprise. And as a result of that, the enterprise grew because these people work bloody hard.
Yeah.
So I think there are creative ways of us becoming involved to help people, not to ignore it or turn a blind eye, but not to invade.
But yeah, there's a. You remind me. There's a charity that I support called World Vision.
Yeah.
It's a Christian charity, right? And I support them all the time.
I can almost see you burning up, Avery. You're almost going. This sort of anti-Christ things happening.
I support them because they do exactly that sort of thing. You know, there's this village needs a well. We'll give them the money to dig it. You know, that village needs this. We'll. They haven't got the technology. We'll go in there and we'll do it for them. Wonderful.
Yeah, and I can remember one of my daughters went to. Where'd she go? To Cambodia, I think it was, to build houses for a couple of weeks. You know, I think there are some really valuable, important programs like that, which is about us as a society not turning a blind eye, but finding ways to elevate these people so they can function more effectively and be productive. That is the key. But certainly, you know, I'm sorry that you misunderstood me. I didn't mean ignore them. I'm just saying we need to
that's my bad.
not invade them.
Yeah.
You know, not provide.
I definitely misunderstood.
There are definitely other ways that we could be working, which are far more effective than blowing the shit out of a country or destroying it like Israel has done to Gaza.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about it, Avery, Israel could have decided, Hamas or otherwise, remembering too that there was a point where they actually financed Hamas years ago. So it's not like they're clean-skinned around all this, even though they won't admit to it. But there could have been a way by which they could have found a way to live with them. If they decided not to be such bastards towards them and see them so much as a threat to them simply because they are generally, not all, but are Muslim, or you know, they're not, you know, like how many of them are a mass anyway? Not all of them, that's for sure. Certainly not the children and a lot of the women. So, okay. What was the other point we were going to talk about? Did I forgot? Oh yes, it was this bizarre gathering of 800
generals.
What did you see it? Did you see any of it at all? Or see the commentary?
Yeah, I watched that, and what's the Pete Hegseth's I'm loath to use the word contribution. It was some of the things he said I thought made sense. You know, if you're gonna have a military, they've got to be they've got to be really exceptionally well trained, right? They've got to be call from 20% to the number of 4-star officers. Jesus, that's a great idea. That really is a truly great idea. Look what happened. If you do that, look what happened in Soviet Russia in the 1940s, in the 1930s when Stalin purged all of his generals, and then the shit show they had when Hitler invaded. It took them several years to build up the army again for competent leadership, because he'd got rid of all the generals. And that idiot Hegseth is talking about doing a similar sort of thing.
Yeah, I think
he said some things that I thought made a bit of sense, but the bulk of what Hegseth had to say was garbage.
I think the fascinating thing,
his rant about the LGBTQ, right?
Yep.
His rant about woke and DEI. You know, he's a moron. He should go back to Fox. It's more suited to his temperament, his his intellect.
I
He
thought
certainly isn't fit to run the U.S. military.
one of the most interesting things he said was, when he having a go at them. I don't like walking down the corridors of the Pentagon and seeing unfit generals walking around, overweight generals. Now, I'd like to introduce you to the commander in chief. Our very thin and very fit.
230 pounds full of lard.
Like Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And they expected, the funniest thing though, Avery, was they expected it to be this rally, which was, everybody cheers. Great job. Great job, Pete. You're doing a fantastic. Great job, POTUS. Fantastic. You're doing so much for us. Blah, blah, blah. Laughing at all your jokes. Oh, you're just so funny. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Because didn't someone tell them? Well, obviously, someone didn't. Someone clearly didn't tell them that at military rallies you don't cheer and shout because when a politician's speaking, because you're apolitical.
Yeah. It's explicitly stated in the Uniform Code of Military Justice in the United States. You do not applaud a politician.
No.
You do not show any, even if you love the guy, the woman, you do not show them any support. You could be court-martialed.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
the armed forces are apolitical.
And then Trump starts off the whole show by saying, "I've never been in front of such a quiet audience before. But if you want to clap and so forth, please feel free. But if you get up and stand up and walk out, feel free to do that as well. You just won't have a job left when you get back." Oh God!
Yeah,
How did they elect such a moron?
There goes your rank and job. Yeah.
Yeah.
How
this is every day. Every day my wife says to me, "How crazy are these people?"
How did the Americans elect a moron like Trump? I've said it before. They're low information, and with a lot of them, a lot of their voters are low information, sufficient to vote for a moron like Trump, and he plays to their fears. They're scared of brown people taking their jobs. The fact that the job was there, which they could have had beforehand, they could. I imagine they're rushing right now to pick strawberries in California. Your poor white folks in Illinois, right, or in Louisiana, who haven't got a job. I'm sure they're on their way to California right now to pick those the tomatoes and the lettuce and that for $2 an hour.
And of course, Avery, the real kicker was you need to be in training, or you're going to do training to battle with the enemy within. So all those people, your family, your friends, anybody who didn't vote for Trump is the enemy. So go out there and beat up your own family, and let's take your guns and your big guns and your tanks and everything onto the streets.
Here's the thing that I'm sure somebody with as gigantic an intellect as Trump could explain. How do you invade yourself from inside?
Well,
he said the invasion is coming from within.
Well, actually,
if
that's the definition.
In the country, how can they invade?
That's the definition of cancer.
Is it?
Well, cancer's invading your body from the inside, isn't it?
No.
Sometimes.
It's growing on the inside. It doesn't
there
come
you
from
are.
the outside.
Well, maybe. We won't get into that. But nevertheless, that's my analogy. I'm sticking to it. But it's a cancer.
If you said that Trump was a cancer, I would definitely agree with you.
Well, there's no disputing that. But, fancy telling a group of people that you're going to armies, they must have left laughing at him, surely.
Very quietly. I can't see that they would go away and say, "Oh, that's the best speech I've ever heard," because it was typical. My thought when he started speaking after that little joke, the little joke was, I don't know whether he intended to be funny, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was amusing. It wasn't a rib tickler, but I thought it was amusing. Oh, very clever, Don. But within 2 or 3 minutes, I thought this guy. Well, I already thought it, but this speech is as deranged as all the others that he gets.
Yeah, it is, and it was both of them.
What's his name on the guy that does? Is it not Harry Enton on CNN? Does the fact checking?
Oh yeah,
Dale.
yeah, the name's gone, but I know who you mean. Yeah,
he picked up about 40 or so lies, outright lies that Donald Trump. And I thought, only 40?
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
It was incoherent babbling.
Yep.
It
was Trump playing his greatest hits, and he thought it was a rally.
Yeah.
How anybody could even be motivated by this dude? He looked like he was almost about to fall asleep, I reckon.
Yeah.
But anyway, mate, we've got to go to the final topic of the day, which you might know more about than what I do. And so I've been thinking about UK politics. I've been watching a lot of James O'Brien, I hasten to add. But I've been thinking about UK politics and Nigel Farage's Reform Party and how impactful they have been, given that it wasn't long ago where the Labour Party won by a massive majority and then have suddenly been shooting themselves in the foot, but they've become people don't like them anymore. It's the best way I can put it. They're not the flavour of the month. They're gone. So they've still got 3 years to go, so no one's going to sweat it. But particularly I was interested in the rise of the right-wing racist group of people known as Farage's party, and how in Australia, because there's a correlation, I'm just going to do a bit of a rant for a moment, just so I know what people think of this as well. There's a correlation between what's happening in Europe and the UK, but not necessarily happening in Australia. Yet, the One Nation have doubled, in the latest poll, One Nation have doubled their potential votes here. So they've gone from 3% to 6% or something like that. No big deal. And the thing about the One Nation is that and the thing about One Nation is that they're in the Senate, they're not in the House of Representatives. So there's no way in the world they could do what Nigel Farage is likely to do in the UK, which is get to win government. Nigel Farage could actually win government right now. So I was curious as to what you think about those two scenarios, UK, Europe, and us.
I feel, well, the UK for this sort of crap, this sort of party has risen before. The Farage party. There was one in the 1970s whose name escapes me, but they were really proud of. Everybody had the flag on their back, and they'd wear the caps and shit like that. And they rose. They won a seat in the House of Commons, and then they faded and disappeared, and they've gone. And that sort of thing has happened before. The thing with the Labour Party is they've got a history of coming up with some brilliant ideas. They're responsible for the National Health Service and all the social support systems in the UK. Brilliant idea. But then they go and they take out the guns, which are illegal in the UK, and point it at their foot and squeeze the trigger. And they've got a history of doing it. In the 1970s, early 70s, was it? The Chancellor of the Exchequer, the Treasurer, was a guy called Dennis Healey. And the Conservative Party had proposed, Labour were in government, the Conservative Party had proposed some measure that would help stimulate the economy. And Dennis Healey, his brilliant idea, which was a major, would take the gun out, point it at the foot, and squeeze the trigger. He decided that he would just tell the the Royal Mint to print £100 million. That's all of a sudden you've got all this money which has got nothing behind it to back it up, floating around in the country, and inflation went through the roof, and their political fortunes went through the floor, and they do it all the time. So it didn't surprise me that Keir Starmer is not as popular. The Labour Party there are not as popular as they used to be. The Conservatives were always the party that you could get go back to the US. In the US, Republicans fuck up the economy, Democrats fix it. So the right wing fucks it up, Democrats fix it. In the UK, it's the other way around. The Labour Party would screw up the economy, the Conservatives would fix it.
But I listened to my friend James O'Brien, whom I admire greatly.
I like him
from LBC. His view was, and I do apologise because I'm sure James listens to our little program.
I'm sure.
Is that sort
I'll
of a
make
guy.
sure he does when I talk to him next.
Yeah. He probably have a direct line to his mobile, I would imagine, Avery, being of a kindred spirit. But he said that the reason why Farage has taken the role that he has is primarily because people like what's his name, Johnson, Liz Truss, and other Liberal leaders or Conservative leaders have really paved the way, because particularly around this immigration issue, because they failed to address all of that, and they failed to address the poverty issues that sit in the UK. So a lot of the more recent historical stuff has paved the way for reform to come in and do what they're doing.
But the Reform Party, they are doing in a lot of ways what Trump did in the United States. They're playing to people's fears about that brown-skinned person. They're playing to people's fears about that person who prays by doing this. The Muslim, right? The Hindu. There, they've got them twice. They've got dark brown skin, and that funny religion where they worship an elephant. And, he's playing. He's taken Trump's playbook and used that, because he was nobody in 2015. Nigel Farage in I think he first appeared in the scene around about 2010, and he was a joke. Nobody was interested in him.
And now what they do is they talk about him, apparently.
Sorry?
Now they do is they talk about him because his
he was a joke. He was just this guy over on the side of politics ranting. And then Trump arose, and Trump came down the escalator, and Trump won the election, and he just played. He said, "Look at what Trump did. I'm going to do that."
Yeah, I think the difference between Farage, Trump, and Pauline Hanson is that at least Farage can put a few sentences together and make reasonable sense to him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's far more articulate, even though he's a racist and isn't a very nice person. He still will be able to, and this is the thing that I want to do, is in comparison to Australia. The thing is that we don't have anybody on the right, the extreme right, not the Liberal Party, but the extreme right, who would do that, who are articulate enough to be able to state the case, I don't think. And also,
she's not that articulate, in my opinion.
Who's that?
Pauline.
Oh no, not at all. She struggles to put it together. So. So anyway, it's just an interesting comparison. So any parting words, Avery, before we finish off?
I probably shouldn't. I enjoyed the conversation. One of these days, you and I are going to have to sit down in front of these cameras, and you're going to have to let me rant for about an hour on religion, on Christianity, and why I despise it. Islam, why I despise it. Right? You're going to have to let me do that.
Well, I'm open to that suggestion. You could do it. I do a Tuesday pod broadcast at 3 o'clock. You could join me for that one and do your rant if you feel so desire.
Yeah.
If you want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm also. I just want to say, well, thanks, Avery. Just before, and I'll just have a few things to say. So thanks, Avery, for being with me. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we'll talk in just a moment. But I just wanted to say to people, if you haven't already, and we've had a lot of 100 or so people online, please subscribe to my channel, ring the bell. It doesn't cost you anything, and I find it extremely helpful if you do just that. And also, I'm interviewing, hopefully next week, someone I came across who has got early onset dementia, and the reason why I'm interviewing him, because this is my social work thing, and I've wanted this channel also to be avenue whereby people can tell their stories. That you're certainly not on my channel anyway, because I don't know anybody who's famous, and I don't give a shit about people that say that they are or think that they are either. But I also want to let you know that if you are, you've got a story to tell, you've got a camera and a microphone, feel free to contact me and organise a chat, and I'll just do a recording. I'll let you know what the recording looks like. You make a decision as to whether you want it to go to the internet or not, and then we'll go from there. But the purpose is to be able to have general conversations with people. I think a lot of people have got great stories to tell, no matter who you are, no matter where you've come from. You know, we all have a story, and that they need to be told. And many of those stories are quite inspirational. So let me know if you want to share your story, because I'd love to hear from you. Okay, thanks everybody for being with me. Sorry about the late start. It won't be next week because I think Avery's appointments have been changed. But we will catch up as soon as Tuesday next week at 3 o'clock to have a further chat. And it may be chatting with Avery about religion. Who knows? That's the excitement of the internet. No one knows, and everything is a surprise. In the meantime, take care, everybody.